Carpro Elixir, P&S Bead Maker, Built Hamber QD, Maguire's Hybrid Ceramic Wax, Koch FSE, Turtle Wax Rinse Wax, Soft 99 Fuso, Auto Glim Polar Seal, Demon Shine, Carpro Reload, Geon Wet Coat, Done and Dusted SI, ONR. What have all these products got in common? Well, they're products which I love, and they're products which people tell me they've had a horrible, nightmare, streaky mess with, and they're not going to go near these products again. In this video, we are going to cover what is streaking. Is it down to user error, so your fault that you're getting bad results, or is it down to poor products? So either we've got a lot of people out there using the products wrong, or we've got a lot of people out there using products that are giving them bad results that they're not noticing. Which one is it? We're going to tell you exactly what streaking is and give you some tips on how to prevent it or how to fix it happening or how to stop it happening in the first place. So you are watching the Forensics Detailing channel. Smash that subscribe button and join us on the Patreon thing if you like getting loads of rewards and all kinds of interesting tiering. More information on the description. Let's go to our intro and then we'll get stuck into this interesting and rarely discussed detailing topic. Jesus, I'm getting worse. Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. Do not forget as well, if you're new to this channel, we have a sister channel called the Forensics Unplugged. Subscribe to that if you're interested in keeping up to date with all the behind scenes stuff and a lot of interesting videos in their own right. I just don't do the big production on that particular channel. I'm not doing the big production today either, as you might have noticed looking up at the old GoPro. Okay, the intro for this video, I listed loads of products which I use and like, I can't remember the entire list. But various people have told me they've had problems with them, which is a common thing, isn't it? Streaking, especially with these kind of spray products, is something that you really don't want to happen, or you don't want it to be a problem, basically. And the good news is, I don't want this video to be like, if you've got a streaking problem, you're an idiot and it's all your fault. Because in the past, I've had streaking problems and I've done away with those products. But if I'd have known what I know now, when I was younger, I would have been able to fix those problems. And indeed, I've gone back to products which I've written off before because I thought they were a bit streaky, and now I get fantastic results in them. So the aim of this video is actually just to give you a few tips. But ultimately, if you have a product that you don't like and you find it streaky, you know, there's nothing wrong with ditching it and looking for one that you get on with. So never forget that. And even if I forget to say it. Okay, what is streaking, guys? Now, the best way to understand detailing products is two things, and I've mentioned these two things before: active ingredients versus carriers. Okay, active ingredients versus carriers. Active ingredients are things that are left behind on the surface with regards to detailing products, typically protection products, and carriers are the things that are used to transport those active ingredients and make them easier to spread, or in this particular case, form a film over the surface. So film formation, active ingredients, carriers, three words that are really interesting. Now, in all the products down here, or most of them, the carrier are going to be predominantly water. Now, there may also be some water miscible solvents like ethanol or alcohol to thin certain components and keep certain components dissolved. And so you might have a mixture of water and alcohol solvents as your carrier, and your active ingredients in these products here will typically be organic waxes in some of them. You know, there'll be some organic waxes, synthetic polymers or synthetic materials, usually modified forms of silicon or forms of PDMS or siloxanes, all different clever materials, engineered materials, or some organic materials, okay? Now let's just assume if we look at our whiteboard, this is a really handy tool for understanding and doing some demos on smearing, because essentially a pen is also active ingredients and carriers. And I'm not too knowledgeable on pens, but you have obviously a pigment that when you do that, you put the pigment over the surface, don't you? Well, this has carriers in it as well, and the carrier will evaporate, so in most pens, so that the ink is kind of permanent. This whiteboard's a slightly different example, isn't it? Because you're laying down a material that you don't want to kind of stay on the surface. But you noticed when I do this pen, and just bear with me, this pen is perfectly formulated that it kind of leaves a layer of the material exactly where you point the nib, and then that material isn't wet, it's kind of dried, so I can't spread this material around, and if I touch it I actually remove the material. Okay, next thing guys is, what is streaking? And going back to the active ingredients and carrier thing, primarily streaking 99 times out of 100 is excess active ingredients in a particular location. So carrier, active ingredients, you spray some product down there, or you spread some product down on one particular area of the car, and you are unable to form a film, the right level of film over your area before the carrier has disappeared. So you've got a build up of active ingredients in one place, which is all murky and hazy because they're typically opaque type products, and the carrier is gone, and you're not able to transport those products, that active ingredients, without that carrier. Now it's disappeared and they're stuck in one place, so it's like you're buffing away at it furiously, but now it won't spread, and there's so much of it there that it's, even if it's drying, you can still see it. Okay, sometimes you need light, the colour of the material below it will help highlight the streaking, so a lot of times black cars will show streaking more than a white car, where you can hardly, you need really intense light to see streaking on white cars. White cars got all sorts of benefits. Okay, what causes, so that is streaking, that's a little bit about what causes it, but delving into the specific areas of things that you can do that will cause it. Okay, so poor surface preparation. So in other words, when you spray these products on your car, the best thing is a completely clean surface. You know, typically clean, clear coat. That's what they're kind of going to excel if you've got that. If you try and spray them on a dirty car that you haven't even washed, they're going to mix with dirt and stuff like that and not spread as well. If there's contamination all over the paintwork as well, they're not going to spread. Typically, if you have really good, this is in my opinion, if you have really smooth, nice quality paintwork, these products tend to spread and buff better than if you have sort of like old battered, dirty, contaminated paintwork. So poor surface conditions. Next things that can contribute to streaking: poor removal tools or poor application tools. And that's a clever way of saying a dirty rag. If you're using a microfiber that's dirty and it's got grease on it, or if it's got oils on it, you know, or bits of dirt on it, anything wet, even a liquid that hasn't dried, they can contribute, because that product, that microfiber, might not be able to absorb and buff the carrier or the excess product off of the panel, and instead it's just going to be putting grease and slime. So, you know, a crappy microfiber is what I'm saying, can also help. It's very important that after you've formed a film, you go back and you buff it with a dry microfiber cloth. Even if wet microfiber cloth, if you're trying to just use one product, one towel to install and buff, when that towel starts to get wet with product, you'll find that things are getting more streaky, because as you buff them, you're not actually just buffing product, you're actually applying sometimes more carrier or sometimes more active ingredients. So you're like almost chasing your towel with buffing and applying. So poor removal tools or application tools. In the same way, if you've got a microfiber applicator you're using to spread the product and that's all dirty and greasy, you're going to have problems. Okay. Point C, compatibility issues. This is less common than you think, but sometimes certain products do not sit well on top of each other. And understanding that is a really interesting thing. A lot of times I find paste waxes in the sun. If you've got a paste wax down in your car and it's hot, that even though if you've cleaned and prepared the surface well, sometimes the spray products are more prone to streaking. And there's probably millions of different compatibility examples that you could go through, you know, because there's PTFE products, there's ceramic coatings, there's silicone polymers, there's acrylics. So you've got all these potential baseline products, and then all these potential top products and potential compatibility issues. So to rule that out, you could use a combination of products that are designed to be used with each other, or, you know, or be aware of what you're using underneath, basically. The next one, guys, this is the most common cause of streaking, and it's hot panels. Hot panels. Why hot panels? Because they destroy or burn or evaporate the carrier instantly. Literally instantly, guys. So even in the UK weather, if it's 30 degrees and this car is sitting outside, I spray this one squirt on here, and I say I'm only going to do one squirt because I don't want to put too much product on, just one little squirt. And I'm going to do one little squirt over here, and I've done it. Now I'll go and put this down, and I'll get my microfiber towel, and I'll get back here, and I'm ready to buff. And that's been 15 seconds. Well, if this panel temperature is up at 60 degrees or something like that in the blazing hot sun, that squirt, that mist of atomized product, the carriers will disappear within a couple of seconds, or almost within a second of hitting the panel. In other words, sometimes heat can absolutely ruin the carriers in products, and heat is a big problem. You know, especially with water-based products as well. And heat messes up wax. So heat is something you want to really avoid. Okay, guys, the next one is poor technique. So assuming it's not heat, it's not dirty cloths, and it's not poor service or anything like that. What do you mean by poor technique? Well, typically a lot of the manufacturers, I've got detail sprays primarily in mind here, rather than sort of streaky waxes or things like that. The manufacturers will tell you to spread with one cloth and buff with another. The most common poor technique that you could use is just using one cloth, because what you'll probably find is when you spray, squirt your product, one mist of product on the panel there, and you've got one towel, you go to buff that, first squirt it will be fine and it will look good, because what buffing that towel is going to do is going to absorb product and pick up most of the product that hasn't bonded to the panel, and you know, you're not going to have an excess film. The next time you use that microfiber and you go over here, it's now got product in the surface, and you go and buff this bit, and instead of just buffing product, you're actually now putting more product into that section of panel, and you can sometimes see it smearing as you're actually applying it with the microfiber. Okay, so 2 microfibers is the key to this poor technique thing. Whether it's a microfiber cloth that you're using to apply or a microfiber applicator, it doesn't matter. Okay, except that when you're laying out, it will be streaky because this applicator will have product in it. But then when you come to buff, use a clean microfiber towel, and that is the #1 way of stopping it streaking. And then next time you go to buff with the secondary towel, make sure you're using a different side. Okay, so that's the main thing on poor technique. And also, leading on from that, do not use too much product, because if you use excess product, you use tons potentially. Even that dry microfiber cloth can not absorb it all sometimes, or get wet, and it will just be more streaky. So don't use excess product. The colour of the car, you know, if it's a black car or white car, is never a reason for why a product streaks. So, you know, the statement, it only streaks on black, I don't have any problems on a white car. You're having exactly the same problem, it's just you can't see it. So forget about colour. Okay, another cause of streaking, guys, we're getting into the more obscure stuff, can be product expiry. Products that go old, they might not bond and they might not work. I've seen products go bad and then change how they are, you know, if they go turbid and stuff like that. So sometimes it can be product expiry. There we go, guys. Those are the main bullet points about what you need to kind of be aware of. So guys, the final thing is in practical layman's terms, what I want you to take away from this is that whenever you're applying a product, especially a wet product, a water-based product, is to use an applicator, whether that's a microfiber towel, you know, just an applicator towel that you designate as your applicator, or a microfiber applicator itself, whichever one you prefer. The best thing that can help you is to fill that microfiber, squirt it up with clean water, squeeze all that water out, and what that does is your applicator then is saturated with material. So when it's going to spread rather than absorb product, okay? And the fact that it's got water in it, which is also the carrier, means that it's going to perhaps dilute it down a little bit, but it's going to add you a little bit of carrier, you know, that's going to make the product not quite as concentrated in active ingredients to carrier. So you are going to add a little bit of water, and it's just going to help you form the film over your car. Then the second thing is take that clean, dry buffing cloth, and ideally, guys, you want to buff these products before they flash, because after you've spread it, if you allow all of the carrier to flash, you're not going to have a consistent layer of kind of material over the surface, are you? So really you want to spread it all out, be ready to buff, and then buff it with that dry applicator. If you do that, 99 times out of 100, that will make even a streaky product not streaky. But there is an exception to that even if you follow that 2 applicator method, if you overload that particular section of the panel, you might still have problems. And also, if it's hot, don't wait. So one other tip, if it's hot, is to spray onto the applicator and not spray onto the panel, because you're spraying atomized material, tiny droplets that will, like I said earlier on, which will dry in literally milliseconds because they're tiny. So what you can do is just be ready to spread when it's hot, spray onto your applicator straight over there, and then buff, and you will be fine. Another thing is, if you do get streaking and you've done everything I say, you've got your applicator that will get loaded with products, so don't use that. Take a clean microfiber cloth, soak that with water if you've got streaking, and then go over the area that you've buffed and you've got the streaking on with water, and then take a second cloth and buff that again. That should take the streaking out. Some products say to use the product again if you've got streaking, so you spray more product on. I'm not always sure if that's a good idea. I think what I just suggested is typically a better idea, in my opinion, or else you're just going to be hurling more product on. Some products now, there's a bit of a battle going on to get the performance, like get the products that are the most durable, that last the longest, stuff like that. So what I think you're finding is that this was something that I did when I was playing around making my own products, is you always try to go Rambo mode on the active ingredients, so you've got the biggest beating product and stuff like that, and a lot of that is going on. We're getting turbocharged products now that might be a little bit more prone to streaking, so a lot of times just knocking products down. And here's another big tip as well: don't be afraid sometimes with a product that you know is water-based, just to take some of that product and dilute it down a little bit. That's a really good tip as well, guys. Okay guys, I want to wrap this up. Put in the comments what products you've used that you've had a nightmare with. Have you been able to fix those problems, or have you just given up and you went to another product and you didn't have that problem? So your kind of opinion is, I don't want to sit there messing around trying to work around the problem. The new product has solved the problem for me, which is, it's a viable solution as well. But hopefully some of these tips, that I know they work, guys. I'm not trying to sound big-headed. I've had problems with streaking in the past, but now I'm streak-free. I have, and like I said, with quite a few products actually, but some of those little tips, I use them all of the time, especially the wet thing to form the film. Once I've got that film formed, I usually, it's like spreading the polish. I know I'm safe, and when I go back with that clean dry cloth, I know it's going to be good. Typically, you'll get the problem if you spray directly onto a hot panel and it dries before you can form the film, and then you're going to get a build up in one particular place. Trying to buff the hell out of it is not going to work because the carrier's gone. So like I say, try the tips I've given you in this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know if there's any tips I've missed. Do not forget to subscribe. Peace, love, happiness, all that sort of stuff. Stay tuned, hit subscribe. Bye for now.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I?